welcome to the podcast, Women's Evolution in Education in the Real World, Episode 1. Today we have Miss Chaplin, who teaches business here at Blake with us.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. And we have Estefany, who is a student of Miss Chaplin.
Hello.
So, Miss Chaplin, tell me about yourself briefly as a young lady coming up to where you are right now. What led you to teaching? Not only that, but being a business teacher.
So I was not going to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
That was not my dream in life. I went to school. I got a degree in business and management, and I wanted to work in corporate, which I did for a few years, but was not fulfilled. Ultimately went back to school to get my master's degree in counseling.
Okay.
And as it turned out, I was offered a job to teach, not to be a school counselor, and fell in love with teaching. And so here I am so many years later, and I've quit teaching twice, and I found myself back in the classroom 10 years ago and just absolutely enjoy being around young people and teaching. And I teach business because that's my degree. So, yeah.
Okay. And from your point of view as a woman, like, how do you feel in the workforce? Like, do you think women are treated, like, fairly, or do you, like, how do you feel about it?
I think overall women are treated fairly. In education, women make up more of the larger part of the workforce than men.
Right.
But if we're talking corporate, while women are in corporate, we're not necessarily in leadership positions. And so oftentimes in those circles, in those areas, we have to fight for leadership positions in corporate. And it's unfortunate that it still happens, but it is still happening.
And has that personally happened to you, if you don't mind me asking?
It did not. I didn't
Okay.
stay in corporate long enough to fight my way up the ladder.
Okay. And do you have kids, if you mind me asking?
I do have a child of my own.
Did you have kids while you were teaching or anything?
He came along at a time when I was not teaching,
Okay.
but found that being back in education while he was young made sense for me, so that I could be home with him during breaks and such. So we got to spend time together.
Okay, because I was gonna go to my question on maternity leave. If you had anything to say about
So
that.
I was not on maternity leave while I was in the school system, so not sure how that works.
Okay.
I was working at a college when I was on maternity leave, and I took 12 weeks, 3 months, to be home with him when I first had him. The majority of that was unpaid.
Okay. All right. Do you think women's history is taught enough in schools?
No, it is not.
I don't think so either.
The patriarchy that designed this country did not allow for stories outside of theirs. And so if you are not a white male,
Yep.
your story is often not told in this country. And it is very unfortunate because there's so many stories to be told. Men, women, people of all different kinds of backgrounds. And I believe there is room enough for all of us here. And I think if we celebrate each other and our wins, I think we all win. And I say that in my class all the time.
Correct.
Because I think it's important for us to celebrate each other.
Right.
Because there is room enough for everyone.
We don't have to go too into detail about this, but I was going to ask for pay fairness between men and women. Like, being a teacher, like, do you think it's, like, fair, or do you think it could be bettered or anything?
So in education, pay across the board is pretty much a non-issue because it's pretty much flat. There's
Okay.
no negotiation in education. However, in corporate, and I don't remember the exact number, but it's like for every dollar that a man makes, a woman makes 71 cents. So at the end of the day, women are not making the same amount of money for doing the exact same amount of work or more, because oftentimes women go above and beyond. to get the job done. And so oftentimes we are not paid what we're worth.
Right. So can you explain to me like what corporate means in education? Like when you say corporate.
So I mean going out into the world of business.
Okay.
Working in any business that is not necessarily in the educational field. Think your large businesses, your Amazons, your even if you work in some of the office spaces of like your retail establishments, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, some of the corporate establishments. That's what I mean.
Okay. And what advice would you give to a young woman wanting to go to this route and career in business or education?
I always tell my young women to be fearless first. Go for what you want. Mm-hmm. If you can dream it, you can be it.
Right.
So do what you think you want to do. Mm-hmm. Nothing in life is written in stone except death. Right. And so if you are still alive, you have an opportunity to do something different. Mm-hmm. And my career has taken many, many turns, and I've done a lot of the things that I've wanted to do. They weren't always a good fit, but I tried it.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, I don't have any regrets on the way my life turned out. So I tell young women to go and be fearless.
Mm-hmm. So Estefany, what do you plan to do after high school?
I plan to go to Montgomery College and then possibly transfer if that's possible.
And what are you thinking of majoring if you do know?
Anything in business.
Anything in business. Yeah. What led you to finding interest in business?
My father. My father has been a very heavy component in my life, and it was because of him that I found strength to have interest in something that not many tend to get into.
Right. So Miss Chaplin, can you give me a baseline on the pros and cons of going into business as a woman? And
so the pros are amazing. Corporate pay is good. Mm-hmm. If you're good at what you do, you can get paid.
Right.
Not necessarily what men get paid, but that's part of the con. You might have to fight for equity when you get into the workspace in a corporate position, but be prepared to fight. Actually, we have a friend who just filed a grievance against her company, and she's having to deal with that on several levels. But it can be uncomfortable and frustrating a lot of times, but it is always worth it. If not for you, for the people coming behind you, because there will always be someone coming behind you. So play fair, work hard, do right, and if you need to fight fairly, but within the guidelines that are established.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about that, knowing that you're potentially wanting to go into business, about the pros and cons about it?
There's definitely cons that I am facing currently as a first gen in my family, and that uncertainty of wanting to go somewhere but having to think twice before going ahead.
Okay.
And probably the pros are what keeps me going, and not only that, but as Miss Chaplin mentioned, there's someone behind you. I have a little sister behind me, so it's majorly for her. Yeah,
that's nice. And is there anything that the education system could benefit from that you personally think should be the education system should do, or anything?
That's a loaded question. I have so many thoughts on so many things, but I am late in my career, and so I've seen a lot of things and a lot of changes over the years. I think we need to get back to basics with our young people. I think we need to go back to a place where there are consequences for actions that are not wholesome or healthy, ultimately we're preparing our students for the world of work. And if they're learning now that there are no consequences, they take that with them into the workplace, which is not something that is acceptable.
Right.
And I hear from business leaders all the time that the young people that have been coming out the last several years are not ready for the world of work. And that is unfortunate. But I think we are absolutely teaching young people that it's okay to behave the way you want to behave, because there are no real repercussions.
Yeah, okay.
Well, outside of my class.
And what are like the pathways somebody could take to fulfill a job in business?
So here at Blake, we do have a business pathway. You take 4 classes, and
do you take those classes?
Yes.
Okay.
Estefany has been with me for 4 years now.
Oh,
She's taken 4 classes with me.
Uh-huh.
And so you take 4 classes: entrepreneurship, accounting, marketing, advanced management, advanced marketing. AP economics also counts towards that, and you can earn your certificate in business upon graduation. Most business positions require some higher education degree. You don't necessarily have to earn a degree in business to work in corporate America, but it absolutely helps. Management, accounting, marketing are some of the opportunities for higher education. And once you do that and you have prepared yourself, going into a corporate position can be quite rewarding.
Okay. So, back to you, Estefany.
All right.
So, what, do you know, like, what business or anything you want to do? Like, I know you want to do something in business, but what particularly, if you do know?
Probably explore something around banks at first, and then work my way up until eventually.
What leads you to banks, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's just the influence my father and my mother give me. Probably as a starting point, and then work my way up to eventually owning a business of mine.
Okay, that's so nice. So how do you like Miss Chaplin's class?
Girl, I love her class. I feel like business, like in general, the classes that we have here really don't get enough recognition. Like, there's so many students that could benefit from being in Miss Chaplin's class, because she might say that she, doesn't like me or whatnot, but I know deep down that she does, and everything that she teaches is beneficial and will stick with you in the long run.
So, what are you expecting as a woman going into business, other than like the stuff she said and all that?
Probably the difficulties. I imagine like pulling off all-nighters trying to get projects done, or I imagine like working with teams and having discussions, meetings, all of that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Well, guys, I'm sorry. That was really short, but you guys touched base on the questions I had. Thank you guys for both coming here and taking your time out your day.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Karina.
No problem.
Pawcast.